Hello, lads and lasses. Hey, if you like today's lesson, then tell the Starbucks barista that your name is I Heart Art so that when they shout out your name when your coffee is ready, everybody can hear it, as this would really help spread the good word about my class. Okay, today I'm going to show you guys how to draw a skeleton. So I would like you to use a tall sheet of paper. If you don't have a tall sheet of paper, you can use uh, you can put a couple of sheets of paper together and make a tall sheet of paper, or you can just use a smaller sheet of paper and use the proportions that we used on the small sheet of paper from yesterday uh, as to guide where to put your heads on the paper. All right. So similar to yesterday, we are going to draw a line down the middle of our paper. So if our paper is 8.5 inches wide, half of that would be 4.25. All right. I went into detail about how to do this yesterday on the Triangle Man. So if you skipped Triangle Man, go back and watch Triangle Man, and you can see the details of finding 4.25 on the ruler. All right, there's 4.25. Here is 4.25, and I'm going to do one in the middle because my ruler won't reach that far. 4.25, and here is the line down the middle. And yesterday we did our math, and so we learned that we'll have 1 inch right here, and we'll do 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and so on, all the way down the paper, because our skeleton is going to be, let's see, get this out of the way. Our skeleton is going to be 12 inches tall. All right, so if you want to see this in detail, you can watch yesterday's video on how to do this part. But just like yesterday's video, we're going to draw a line at the 1 inch and call it 0. And then 1 plus 1.5 is 2.5. We'll call that 1. 2.5 plus 1.5, we'll call that, what is that, 4. So we'll call that 2. And 4 plus 1.5 is 5.5. That is 3. And 5.5 plus 1.5 is 7. We'll call that 4. 7 plus 1.5 is 8.5. We'll call that 5. 8.5 plus 1.5 is 10. We'll call that 6. 10 plus 1.5 is 11.5. That's 7. And we're just going to have to move things down a little bit. 10 plus 1.5 is 11.5, and that's 8. So there is our proportion. So, all right. So the skull is going to be between the 0 and the 1. All right. I'm going to give you a quick lesson on a skull. A skull. Remember how I told you guys that the head is a basic oval shape? So I'm going to draw this lightly. All right, it's an oval shape, but a skull is a little bit different. A skull is quite round on top, but somewhere around here it goes down and then like this. All right, it makes that shape, and then the there we go. That's the skull. This makes that, and that goes on like that. All right, that's the skull. And then there's like a triangle shape for the nose, or even like a Star Trek shape. And the eyes are kind of squarish. They're not circles, right? The eyes are kind of squarish. And the teeth. All right, that's kind of what a skull looks like. You know what? I'm going to do a better one. I promise it's going to be better. All right. I forgot a part. All right, once again, upside down egg. The skull is quite round on the top. And then when it goes like this, that's right. It goes like this. That's the upper part of the jaw. There's the nose. It does a Star Trek right there. And then it has these squarish eyes. All right. And then there's another, your jaw is separate from your skull. You know, I know it's part of the skull, but there's the jaw. If we color that in and color this in, and there we go. There's the teeth. There's the teeth. That's so much better. All right, I like that better. So now when we come back here, all right, we're going to draw all right, there's that egg shape, and the top of this the skull is right there, and then there's the bottom of the skull. All right, we'll do, and in fact, yeah, I want you to be looking at your at the drawing, at the picture that's in the book. All right, but that's just a rough of what the skull looks like. All right, and I won't be doing any more details before we're ready. All right, then the shoulders. The next thing that we did, the shoulders, they're halfway between the 1 and the 2. They go 1 inch out this way, 1 inch out that way. Let me just check. And by the way, we are not doing Triangle Man again, but the Triangle Man helped us figure out where things kind of go. All right. Now, I am going to loosely draw in the ribs. So let me show you what ribs kind of look like. Ribs to me look like an upside down heart. So if we look at ribs, all right, it creates this shape. It's like a heart that doesn't come to a point. Like there's a heart, but then it's rounded off. And then this is rounded off, right? This kind of heart shape. All right. Now watch carefully. I'm going to give you the proportions of this. The top of this upside down heart starts right here with the shoulders. The bottom of the upside down heart is just above the 3. So look at how I made these little U shapes and then a shape like that. So that's what it's going to look like. All right. The next thing we're going to draw is the pelvis. Now the pelvis to me, there's the pelvis. Right. This is, oh, somebody drew on here. Well, thank you. All right, so there is the pelvis right here. And to me, the pelvis always kind of looked like a butterfly. So put this aside. And so it goes like this. Does that kind of look like a butterfly? It looks like a butterfly to me. So the top of our butterfly is just under the 3rd head. And the bottom of the butterfly is just under the 4th head. So if I draw those curves in and make that curve, and then that curve, and then this curve, it's almost like a curvy X, right? That is our pelvis. Now, your hips are not made with the pelvis. The hip is actually made with the top of the thigh bone, the femur. So this is going to be the top of our leg bone. And then the bottom of the leg bone is going to be at the 6th head. And we'll do the same thing over here. That is the femur. And do you remember when we did kind of like that half circle at the 8? All right, these are all the foot bones down here. And then you can, that's the shin bone. That's the shin bone. And then now we need to make the arms. That's going to be the top of the arm and the bottom of the arm, or the bottom of the humerus. Is that right? Yeah, humerus is at the third head. And then we'll have the wrist is at the fourth head. And then we have that's the top of the arm. That's your elbow, and then that's your wrist. I'm going to do this. All right. There we go. All right. Now, this is not the skeleton. I've just placed where everything goes. Here is what I want you to do. I want you to look at pictures of skeletons. All right, I'll post them. And, geez, I didn't even notice that. Man. Look at pictures of skeletons. And then I want you to use the picture to draw the skeleton. And you just take it one line at a time. Let's focus. All right, so if I was drawing the skeleton, I would look at all the lines that are in here. I just take it. There's one vertebrae, and then I'm going to draw another vertebrae. It's one at a time. And I'm going to draw the third. I only count 3 vertebrae. So you see there's 1, 2, 3. So I'm only going to draw 3 vertebrae. You draw what you see, not what you think is there. Next, I'm going to draw the clavicle. So the clavicle is this arm right here, and it goes kind of like from the middle, just to the right of the middle, and it kind of makes a swooping line like that. Let's go right there. All right, that's the clavicle, and then I'll draw the clavicle on the other side. So right there, there's a swooping kind of horizontal line. Goes like that. All right, that's the clavicle. And then with these ribs, I just want you to, and we can start with, I know there's a lot of ribs there. I want you to draw each and every one. So there is the breastbone, and there's a little bump right on the bottom of that breastbone. You can see it right there. And then so then there's one rib. I just drew that rib right there. And that rib actually goes around to the back side. I can see it right there. And then coming out from the other side, right? And now is the time to take it line by line. Remember when I taught you that when we're drawing our hands, it's not a hand, it's just a bunch of lines. Or when we're drawing our objects, it was just a bunch of lines. This is just a bunch of lines. So if you just take it one line at a time, and it's kind of like a marathon. You know, a marathon is run with a bunch of steps, and it's just one step at a time. And you put one step in after another, and eventually you will finish the 26 miles. All right, so I'm going to do another line, and then there's that line. And then now they start coming out from behind here. So there's that one and that one. And now, look, now they start to make kind of like a V shape. They're going to go up, and they're going to go up, and then they go up, and they go up, and then they go up, they go up. And then on this last part right here, they kind of make like, let's see. They're all like related. There we go, like that. And I would do the same thing on the other side. All right, you can do this now, all right? Then you'd draw the scapula. You know, there's the scapula is also called the shoulder blade. And then, you know, the humerus, you notice that there's like a bulb at the end of this bone. And there's a bulb, and then it kind of goes skinnier. And it kind of, oh, there they go. All right. So, and it goes thin and then it flares out at the bottom. So it goes like this. And then there's a little bit of a bump down here. It goes like that. And there's another bump and it comes back up. And then that's the line. That's it. And there's like kind of like a detail that's in there. And then there's a line that comes back like this. The radius and the ulna, there's two bones. You know, they get skinnier and they get fatter. And then they get skinnier and then they get fatter. All right, now with the hand. All right, and in this part, oh, let's see. In this part of the hand right here, actually this part, the wrist, it has a bunch of bones that look like rocks. All right, so that's what this is right here, just a bunch of rocks. And I will post also a close-up of the hand so you can do that. This is supposed to go out like that. Yeah. And that's supposed to go out like that. All right. And then and it's hard to do this kind of level of detail. I can do much better with a pencil, but you know, just take it one line at a time. All right. So the hands, let me show you kind of how hands work. All right. So hands, there's my red pen, kind of work like, all right, this shape right here is kind of squarish. And then there's, you know, the fingers that come out from it, and then there's the thumb, right? These bones are wide, and then they're thin like that. They're wide, and then they, like that. Each finger gets its own, like, extended bone in the hand part. Then each one of these, like from the knuckle to the knuckle is a bone, and from the knuckle to the knuckle is a bone, and then there's a little bone right here. So there's like kind of like two knuckles. So we have to draw a bone for that, and a bone for this one, and then this one is kind of like a little bone like that. And then there's so knuckle, knuckle. So there's a bone right there, and each of these bones is kind of like a dumbbell, you know, or a doggy bone. All right, kind of looks like that. And then there's a little bone like that, and then there's a bone like this. And then I'll make this one a little bit longer because that's the middle finger, and the middle finger is longer. And there's a bone. And there's a bone. And I'll make this one a little bit shorter. There's a bone. There's a bone. And then the thumb has, I keep making these snake shapes. That's not right. They should be more like this, but it's a marker and I can't. Let's see if I can fix it on this one. There we go. And all right, there we go. That's how, and then this part of the wrist, those are all like these rock shaped things. And then that's where the radius and ulna go. It looks like that. All right. So that's how a hand is. I want you to draw a hand. I want you to draw all the bones in the hand. All right. And I want you to take it line by line, draw the whole skeleton. I'm not going to do it for you. I want you to do it on your own. But look at every single line. I want your femur to look like this femur. And I want your pelvis to look like this pelvis. And so on. I want I'll do a detail of the feet, but I want your feet to look like those feet, or your feet to look like those feet. Okay, that's your assignment. I want you to draw a skeleton that is 12 inches tall. All right, that's it for today. And until next time, be a little art factory.